How much will this writing score in CELPIP? So if you write like this, I'll tell you exactly what's wrong and what's good and what you will score. It says apologizing to a friend. So you borrowed a textbook, forgot to return it. You got to apologize for the mistake. You got to find out how important the book is to him or her. Say what you will do, 3 bullet points. So this is task 1. Let's check out the structure first. So you have Dear Mira, the name of the friend, informal. This is good. You have the intro paragraph, which is a greeting. Then your last paragraph is a greeting. Perfect, again, for informal. Very good. You have 3 paragraphs in the middle, 1, 2, 3. Each of them are supposedly answering the 3 bullet points in the question. So if you're doing this, your structure is perfect. Your ending greeting is best regards, and XYZ, unfortunately, you should not put that in the exam. You should put real names. So put the first name, not the last name, because it is informal. If it is formal, you put both, first and last. Now, if you put XYZ, you're losing marks, so make sure it's realistic, okay? So that's one mistake. Structure looks good. Let's have a look at the tone. So hopefully you and your husband are doing well. My apologies for not being in touch. There should be a full stop or a semicolon here, grammar mistake. But I'm making up for it via this email, at least I hope so. Good. There are, overall, if I see the first paragraph, there is an opportunity to put an exclamation mark here, and there's no exclamation mark anywhere else except this part, which is a point for you. But the more exclamation marks you have in the informal emails, the more marks you get, okay? Now, I would like to give you guys a chance to pause the video, read this, and tell me, or tell yourself, what do you think this person is going to achieve in terms of a score? Okay, if you haven't already done that, please do it now. I'm going to get to the answer. So this has multiple grammar mistakes. If you look at it from a grammar perspective, we're not going to go too much in detail there. But the biggest problem is the student's task response. This email, ladies and gentlemen, will score only 5 to 6. Structure is good, salutations are good, word limit is good, so what is wrong? The task response. See, the first question says, apologize for the mistake. The person says, I'm very sorry that I didn't get time to return the textbook. That's good, that is good. But then look what he does later. I thought you were going to leave next week, but when I reached the hostel at that time, I got to know you already returned. This is not an apology, it's more like an excuse. So he's going off topic there. At least more than 50% of your paragraph, body paragraph, should answer the bullet point. So there should be more of the apology. I feel extremely embarrassed, or this is something I'm highly apologetic for. Something more on top of I'm very sorry. Then when the next bullet point is find out how important the book is to him or her, this student does not find it out. The student says, I know these are very important. And that's the tone. Like he's not asking a question, which you're supposed to do here. Next bullet point, say what you will do. So say it. I will do this. But the person says, please inform me which way is cheaper. So he is asking now instead of telling. And that's why the whole task response is messed up. And this is going to lead to a major failure, a score of 5 to 6 only. Then there are grammar mistakes as well. And there's lots of improvement in terms of vocabulary that can be made here. So guys, don't do this. Make sure you always address the bullet points. At least 50% of each paragraph should cover the main content or the main answer of the bullet point. Of course, you can add more detail, but mainly it should revolve around the keywords of the bullet point. So we cover a lot of these examples and sample answers in our CELPIP self-paced course. You can check it out down below. It's right now at a huge discount, guaranteed scores or your money back. And this is how we go into a lot more detail for hours on writing, speaking, reading, and listening. Now we'll look at another sample, and then I have one final one for you that you should really look at before you finish this video. So in this sample, the question says, you recently made reservations for dinner at a very famous restaurant, and then however, the meal was terrible. So, typical question in CELPIP. State what problems you had with the food, complain about the service, and describe how you want the restaurant to resolve the problem to your satisfaction. Now in this case, you start with Dear Manager. Okay, good. You have yours sincerely, and there was the full name, which is blurred here, and the full name is better than the previous one where there was just the first name. This is, actually sorry, the first one was XYZ, so that was the problem there. For formal emails, it should always be the first name. One other thing, you don't see any exclamation marks here, and earlier I was saying you should have more, but in the formal emails, you should have none. So that's good, actually. In terms of the structure, pretty good. You have the purpose at the start. This time there's no greeting, which is fine. It is great because it is formal. For formal emails, you start with the purpose always. Then your ending paragraph is the greeting paragraph, which is professional, and you can see the wordings used here are very advanced. I'm looking forward to seeing how my suggestions translate into prompt actions. Furthermore, good connector and open line of communication from your side would be greatly appreciated. Very good. Now let's have a look at the body paragraphs. Will this have the same issue like the last one? Well, you can pause the video, read it, and let me know. Now, if you haven't already done that, let's get into it together. The first bullet point said, state what problems you had with the food you ordered. And here, the person addresses that. The nevertheless, I was despondent, spaghetti had this problem. Non-spicy beef steak had this problem. Good. Complain about the service, which is very similar to the previous bullet point. Let's see what the student says there. To some extent, my reservation was not precisely booked by customer service assistant for the reason that now it should be assistance or customer service. So there's a grammar mistake. There are a few grammar mistakes here that she overlooked the details I have sent. Aside from that, it was so disgusting to wait for 1 hour for the food. Okay, so we'll talk about that in a bit. So here, have you complained about the service? Yes. So the first one, you complain about the food, and here you complain about the service. You have that negative tone, which is good. And you have now complained about two different things, exactly answering the bullet point. Describe how you want the restaurant to resolve the problem. Well, to therapy the situation, I think you need to hire more staff and provide pieces of training for them to be competent. So, stuff like this, these are grammar mistakes, pieces of training. There's no piece of training. You can just say step-by-step training for them to be competent and obtain exceptional service. Okay, good. Task response-wise, this is awesome. This has answered every single bullet point. There are other problems here that are so technical and specific to the way some things are being said. First of all, you see this paragraph, there's too much I here, and then I here. You should have more passive voice, not just a lot of I's. And then here you have just one I, which is okay. But then here you have I again. And this could have been a really good opportunity to use passive voice. For example, to therapy the situation, I think you need to hire more staff. Instead of that, you would say it would be highly recommended to do this. And when you're making suggestions, it also looks professional when you say strong and assertive words that it would be appropriate to, it would be recommended to, instead of I think. So I think shows, again, active voice, so not good range of vocab. It's not passive and active mix. It's also not assertive enough, so the tone doesn't look good like you think. So you're not really recommending something assertively, which the question is asking you to do. The other thing is, you see how many details he has here, and then here you have very few details, and that's because a lot of the words are being taken in body 1. Now there is a difference of opinion among examiners. Some say that depending on the bullet points, you should focus on some more than the others, but a lot of them would say just give equal balance to each bullet point, so you don't run into the issue that, hey, the task response in this one is not enough, but in this one it's good. So examiners can say that. To ensure you don't have that problem, just give a balanced task response, at least 2 points in each body paragraph. So this may lead him to some trouble. Then again, things like, it was so disgusting to wait for an hour. How is that disgusting? It's not. It's a very extreme word that's being used here. And in complaint emails, you guys do that, okay? So in the emails and letters I see, you guys sometimes say it was so abhorrent or it was so insulting to have uncooked steak. Those are very harsh words. When you're complaining, make it appropriate. It's not the end of the world if you didn't get a cooked steak fully. You can just say it was distasteful, or it was disappointing, I was despondent. So something like disgusting, it's not really disgusting. So that is a flow and tone problem. Then when you see body 1, it's good, it's very professional writing. But when you see the complex sentence, there's one here being one, that's good. Rest of them are simple, which would have been fine if you have more complex sentences down below. But here also you don't have many. You have good connectors that are kind of making them complex, but I would recommend at least having 2 complex sentences, one here in body 1 and the other in body 2 or 3. Just 2 in the 3 bodies. Having one complex sentence here is very good because you want to make a good first impression, and that happens in body 1. So one definitely here, and another big complex sentence in any of the other 2 bodies. If you want to do a 3rd complex sentence, be my guest. A 4th one would be overdoing it. Okay, so some issues, and with that said, the final score here would be, any guesses? this would score 8 to 9. Depending on what the examiner thinks, depending on different criteria, I would give it probably 8 because I tend to mark negatively just to be more prepared for the exam. Now, if you want free CELPIP material and preparation as well as your writing assessment, just like how I'm assessing things here, if you want a detail in an email response, send us your writing and you'll also get free mock tests. How you avail this offer is comment down below. Please like the video and subscribe as well. Helps the channel, and once you do that, you'll enter in our contest to win these free materials. We'll pick winners at random. If you're selected, you'll get our free training. Let's have a look at this final version. So this is asking for permission, and you're asking for permission to return to your country before the end of the semester. You want to request time off, explain why you need to leave early, reassure him or her, your professor, that the studies will not suffer. In this case, your supervisor, actually. So we start with Dear Mr. Miss. Now, I don't remember if this homework was just homework for us to review, but if this was written in the exam, you should write the full name, or in this case with Mr., you could say the last name, Mr. Rockwell, Dear Miss Campbell, whoever. Okay, so you have missed that. If it's just a sample, then it's okay. Purpose, good. That's the best way to start the intro. Give your purpose in the formal emails. You see here the body paragraphs, completely balanced. In fact, it is intentional. You can see each body paragraph has 2 sentences, so it's 2 points answering each bullet point. And let me tell you now, you can read it as well. Each bullet point is answered perfectly. Task response is covered 100%. And this is the best approach you can use. Just do 2 sentences per body. That would be 2 answers to each bullet point, and that'll ensure that you haven't missed anything in terms of task response. Simple, okay? Your cooperation is appreciated, perfect ending, and yours sincerely, and here you have the full name, which is again perfect for the formal language. When you see the tone here, the academic level of vocabulary, it's amazing. You have words like unprecedented, you have adjectives, it is my humble request, sharp results, and so on. Overall, you have very good words, even things like connectors, where you could have said however. She has adjusted the word to nonetheless, or you could also say nevertheless. Good connectors over here too, furthermore. When you look at complex sentences, we have given my, so you have that one complex sentence in the intro, or sorry, in the body paragraph, body 1. Let's see if you have more complex sentences. You have one here. You have the use of semicolon, which makes it complex. And after that, you have another clause. So semicolon, one clause, another clause makes it complex, which is good. So you got 2. Do we have more? No, we don't have more in the body paragraphs. So here you have 2 in the body paragraphs. That's good enough. The flow is amazing. If you read it, you can again pause the video and read it. It is the perfect tone between sentences. You always have some sort of connector, but also among paragraphs, you would see here you have the requesting time off. And in this paragraph, you're answering why you need to leave early. There's no link here. You could say stuff like moreover or also. However, you don't need to do that every time. But if you didn't do that in body 3, I would say that's a problem because the examiners are looking for flow. And the person has addressed it perfectly because now you are changing the tone to reassuring and you're saying nonetheless. Also look at keywords in the bullet points like reassure. It means you really have to give an emotional reason. So something like, please don't be concerned with my studies, that's very appropriate. Good answer directly to the bullet point. And overall, just amazing words, good structure, good flow, good connectors, everything is perfect here. There are some tiny grammar mistakes though, which is why this writing is not going to score 12, it's going to score 11 because everything else is beautiful. So guys, try to write like this. That'll give you the score you need, and you want to aim for 12 minus the grammar mistakes here. Okay, that's it for this video. Please like, share, and subscribe. Talk to you very soon.